So to start off, Jenna, can we flip to the next slide, please? This is the team. Welcome, I am Lucy Heaver. I am the Employment Specialist and Policy Advisor at the Naval Families Federation. My colleague Caroline is the Communications Manager at the RAF FamFed, and she is heading up Forces Families Jobs for the RAF FamFed. Jenna, my colleague at the Army Families Federation, is the Employment and Training Specialist, and Sarah at the Army Families Federation sits behind Forces Families Jobs. She does the everyday running of the website. She uploads jobs. She deals with all new registrations for employers, and is sitting behind help at Forces Families Jobs if you were to ever have any queries or questions that you needed answering. So Forces Families Jobs has recently, as of last week, celebrated our first birthday, which is super exciting. This time last year, we were at the House of Lords launching the website, which was really exciting because we had Johnny Mercer there, who officially launched it for us. But it came about 18 months before that, with some ideas in the lines of, we wanted to create a one-stop shop platform to create a link between employers who want to support the military community, including spouses and family members and spouses who want to access the employment space but don't really know how to do that. So this is a website that is free of charge for both employers and for spouses and partners or candidates, that bridges the gap between them and creates that link. This all came about as a result of some research that AF actually started and took the reins on. It's done as a part of a tri-service piece, so it was involving both the Army, Navy and RAF Families Federations. And it was looking into the barriers that spouses face when they are coming to employment. We all know that as military spouses, we've had to move house, we've had to have lots of gaps in our CVs because we've picked up and put down, had children, started again, gone into a different job here because it suits that timing, whatever. We knew all of this intrinsically, but what we needed was some actual key evidence that proved that. This is what this report did. And one of the key recommendations that came out of it was that we introduce an online platform to bring all of these things together.
So looking into a few of the more statistics around that, the University of Warwick kind of led on this research. They actually did the research for AF. And as you can see there, we'll just trot through them whilst they're in front of us. So 63% of you who did the survey, so thank you if that was you, said that you'd had to change your career path because of the military lifestyle. And by all means, add in some examples to this at the end if you'd like to. And of course, only 7% of you said that you wanted to do that. So, and we're well aware of that. Obviously, the four of us in the team have been partners of ourselves as well. So understand and appreciate where that's coming from. 45% of partners recorded perceived employer discrimination in applying for jobs, and we, again, having interviewed partners of ourselves for jobs at our different families federations, we've heard those stories too. And they were down to possibility of postings and deployments, employment history, such as changing your jobs frequently, and that's kind of on the CV where your CV can become patchy and inconsistent in terms of a particular career, whereas a lot of you, as we know, you're fully qualified in your own rights, but obviously depending on the locations that you've had to go to, that's not always possible to maintain that career path. And also the employer perception that partners are not committed, which is, again, we all know that really isn't the case. We're a super steely bunch and just get on with it, basically. So, and we always have that flexibility to adapt to whatever life throws at us. So, and the biggest thing that I always think is that 54% of partners who, again, completed the survey didn't know about the support services or opportunities that are out there. And you'll probably know there's just under 2,000 military charities in total that are there purely to support the armed forces community. But again, if you don't know that they're there, how do you know to tap into them and which ones will suit your needs and which ones won't? And again, because they're charities, sometimes there's that link that, well, we don't really want to take charity, but that's not the approach. It's here to offer a free service, and Forces Families Jobs can offer that. And it's a really, Jenna's going to take you through the website a bit later on, and you'll be able to have a stooge around and see how you can use it. Someone that has used it and has been successful is Anne-Marie, and we're just going to show you a little video clip to share Anne-Marie's story.
Caroline, I'm having a few technical issues at this end with the Anne-Marie story. I don't know whether or not the sound's going to work, but I will try it and we'll see what happens.
Okay, we'll give it a go.
I'll do my best.
Bear with us, everyone. Whilst we're looking at that, we're also having conversations around the word spouses versus partners of. So again, any thoughts, comments on that, we're always welcome to hear that when we're out and about. Yesterday, Lucy and I and Jenna, we were a meeting with the Ministry of Defence, and it's a partner employment steering group where there's probably about 20 people at that meeting, and they're all talking about career support for partners of. So partners of is more inclusive, and obviously military spouses, people don't always like that term, and we get that, but obviously help us with that conversation if you want to.
Are you able to pick up the sound?
It's faint, actually.
Transferring my qualifications and figuring out.
Here we go, that's better.
Practically, you know, my main experience finding a job that worked with the hours for my son, with my husband being away, was a bit tricky. And so I first heard about Forces Families Jobs in the Hopeful magazine. There was an advert for it, so I had a look at it back then. And then I was a bit unsuccessful finding any jobs, kind of gave up a bit. And then Wendy and Lucy from Neighbour Family Federation came to our families and had a chat with us. And it sort of really motivated me to, you know, look again and use the Forces Family Jobs website to look for a job. Using the website was really easy. I just searched my area. I didn't put in any keywords, to be fair. I just looked through all the jobs that are in my area. You click in on the job and all the information that you need is there, and the link to the website to apply. So it's really easy. It's for me, I suppose. It's a way to. I'm quite excited to get back into work. I've been at home looking after a young child for a couple of years now and not had a job, and I think now I'm ready. He's going to be full-time preschool and he's ready for it, so I think it'll be good for me to do something for me, get a bit of space and save some money for holidays. Previously, I'd kept sort of the forces out of my CV thinking that was a negative thing, as much as I could anyway. But actually, when I spoke to Wendy and Lucy at Neighbour Family Federation, they sort of encouraged me to, you know, add that back into my CV, and that actually being a military wife has its good qualities. Very, very independent, able to deal with situations quickly and deal with change well. You know, there's a lot of good. Not to give up, and to try the website. I have applied for a lot of jobs since moving up here, and I have failed at, you know, even getting interviews. But once I went through the Forces Family Jobs, yeah, I was quite surprised and happy to get an interview. So don't give up, and support each other and help each other. You know, I don't think I would be going back to work and be so comfortable with going back to work if I didn't have the support of my community as well.
Sorry about that, folks. It was a little bit grainy at times. I think it's just the web access at the moment. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, as we all know on these things. But Anne-Marie's story is online, so if you do want to go and listen to it in your spare time, please do. And then we're just going to click on to the next slide. So the Armed Forces Covenant. You may or may not be fully up to speed with the Armed Forces Covenant, and it can be quite a bit of a minefield to some, but basically it's there. It's a promise by the nation, and it's there to make sure that yourselves and serving personnel and veterans are all treated fairly, okay, so that you don't come up against disadvantage. At the moment, If you want to know more about that, by all means, Google the Armed Forces Covenant, and they've got a website, and it's quite good actually. You can go and step through different processes and just see where, because there's so many different arms to the Armed Forces Covenant, but obviously the Covenant is very supportive and crucial to what we do within Forces Families Jobs, because every organisation who advertises job vacancies on Forces Families Jobs has signed to the Armed Forces Covenant, and they're pledging their support to military families. So providing you meet the selection criteria on application forms, that you will be considered for an interview at that stage. So please keep that in mind. At the moment, we've got 5,778 companies who've signed the Armed Forces Covenant. So we've got a good chunk of work to do in our place to encourage employers to use Forces Families Jobs to get jobs out to you, so that you can have the confidence knowing that all those jobs that are on Forces Families Jobs are by Forces friendly employers. They understand the lifestyle that comes with being part of a mobile family. We've got 621 employers currently advertising their job vacancies on Forces Families Jobs, so there's a really good mix. Jenna will go through that with you in a second, but I'll just leave that there. And there's also 47 training providers as well. So what we're also trying to do, I've lost my slide just to look at the bullets. What we're also trying to do is, hang on a second, we're talking to employers to get them to actually consider their approach to you. And I'm just going to pull up my bullets on my own PC screen here so I can see it. So what we're saying to employers, please have flexible part-time job share or working from home. So that flexibility, I think in the current climate, that's happening anyway because of COVID. And most jobs, when you're applying for them, they're saying home-based initially. So that's great because you get your foot in the door, you get to show how great you are, and then you can have that flexibility around whether you can perhaps consider staying working from home or a bit of a blended mix in the office. We've also asked employers to have a sympathetic response to leave requests for before and after deployments, obviously understanding the logistics that go around that. And again, some of the employers on here have served themselves, so they get that as well, so they'll understand. And always be considered for interview, as I've mentioned earlier, providing you meet that essential criteria. And then we're also encouraging the larger organisations that will be in different parts of the country and potentially overseas as well, for you to be able to move through the company doing similar roles within that same organisation. So you don't have to go through that whole application process all the time. Once, you know, it just gives you that chance and flexibility. So now I'm going to hand over to Jenna, and she's going to talk you through Forces Families Jobs itself.
Sorry guys, I'm having a few technical difficulties here. Can you see that screen, everybody?
Yes, I can see it.
Yes, it's showing, Jenna.
Sorry. Yeah. We've got really, really bad signal at my end. It's the peril of living in the middle of nowhere, so sorry about that. But anyway, so this is our Forces Families Jobs website. Sorry, shouldn't be popping up. And as you can see, we've got the nice tri-service purple because it's a tri-service endeavour, so we all work together on putting this together. This is the page that you'll come up against if you type in forcesfamiliesjobs.co.uk, or a quick Google search will bring you to this. As you can see, really, really straightforward. We've got the quick job search here. So you can type in for keywords if there's a specific role that you're interested in. So it may be that you are interested in admin posts. So if you click admin, you can search for admin roles that come up. So there's a couple here that are all jobs that are of an administrative nature. You can refine your search. You can look at specific locations. We do have some jobs that overseas. We do advertise overseas posts as and when they come up. So, you know, if you're going abroad, that's handy to have a look at that. You can choose a distance from a specific location that you were prepared to travel. You can have a look through the different sectors. If you scroll through this bit here, you can see lots of different areas that might be of interest to you. Job type, this one's really important for our community because it, you know, a lot of people will be looking for flexi and home-based jobs, which there are more home-based flexi jobs sort of coming about now as a result of COVID. I think a lot of employers are seeing that there are benefits to home-based working, so that, you know, that is something that is starting to change. But you might be looking for full-time employment, part-time, so you can use those as search criteria. You can search based on how much you'd like to earn per year, or you can search based on the employer recognition scheme status of particular companies. Now, what this means is, as Caroline mentioned in the last couple of slides about the Armed Forces Covenant, a part of that is what's called the employer recognition scheme. And essentially what that means is that employers are able to apply for this status, bronze, silver or gold, and it represents the level of commitment that that particular employer has for the armed forces community. So by the time they reach gold, you'll tend to find that their pledges that they make are actually written into their HR policy. So it's you know, it's very highly regarded within the employer community. So that's something that's worth keeping an eye out for. Having mentioned that, if you go back to the home page, it's a bit slower than it was the other day, unfortunately. You can scroll down to the bottom and you can see featured jobs here, which are all being advertised by our gold ERS holders. So that's part of a bit of a carrot to get the employers on. If you're a gold ERS holder, then you can be on our featured jobs ribbon. So that's really handy to get them involved. As a job seeker, you can click onto this link here. And you can have a little look through here. If you're already signed up on the system, you can just go into this little purple box on the right hand side here, pop your email address and your password in, and then that's you straight into the system. If you're not already signed up, you can click on this and you can go through and you can just pop your details in. It's really, really easy. Name, email address, all that kind of stuff. You can upload a CV if you've got one. If you haven't got one, don't worry. You can use this handy little tool here to help you build a CV. And then you've got the usual terms and conditions tick boxes here. And then you can pop in the security number and register. And then that's you live on the system, ready to start applying for any jobs that might take your fancy. If you do have a little look through and find a job that is of interest to you, like I said admin earlier, didn't I? So if I go back into that, you may pick up a job that is of interest to you. You can look at it in a bit more detail. You click on it, you've got the reference number, the date, how long it's been on the site, the salary that's available, who the employer's with, and a job description. So you've got all the information there, and then you can go into apply for this job now. Which will then take you to apply for that particular job. So that is, like I say, really straightforward, really, really basic. Some of you may not really be in a position to be looking for employment at the moment. Perhaps you've got a posting coming up, or you know, we all know that military life can be a little bit up and down. So you might be interested in doing some training. So we've also got the option to have a look at training and career support. So if you go onto the training courses tab, you can have a look through here. So we've got things like accountancy, we've got an organisation that offers functional skills, GCSEs. A lot of you are probably familiar with the SMS spouses at the BFBS Academy. So they're on there. We've got people that offer virtual assistant training courses, Microsoft. I mean, I'm not going to go through them all. You know, you can go on there and have a look for yourself. But there's lots of different training opportunities on there, really varied. We've got a craft company that specialises in teaching people how to use resin to make things. So, you know, it's hugely varied what we've got on there. In addition, you might be interested in setting up your own business. A lot of spouses do find that self-employment is, you know, a viable option. You can take your business with you wherever you go. So we've also got the business startup section. Again, there's a BFBS Academy. But then we've also got the independent spouse. You may be familiar with that. Supporting the unsung hero, ex-forces, you know, a variety of different organisations that will support you in setting up your own business, be that from finding funding to finding, you know, people who can offer legal advice, all sorts of things that might come up as useful if you were looking for your own, looking to set up your own business. We've also got careers advice on there. So, you know, a lot of us find we've got gaps in our CVs, or we've not been in work for a long time, be it, you know, raising small children or having spent time abroad where it's more difficult to find employment. So you can have a look through there. We've got information about from various different services. So, I mean, our outlook on that is there's a lot of people that offer careers advice, but we like to give you a choice. So we list as many as we can, so you can go through and have a look and see, you know, what would work best for you, because ultimately it's your career journey, and it's, you know, you have to see which provider is going to offer the best support for your particular circumstances. So yeah, that's Forces Families Jobs. That's a whistle stop tour. It's really, really simple to use, as you can see. There's loads and loads of information. We've also got the news section, which is quite new. So that's got information about events and articles which may be of use to you. There's a mention there about the FFJ's birthday was last week. It talks about the Partner Career Support Programme, which the MOD have launched with CTP. So that's something else that might be of interest to you. So lots of things that, you know, that might be of interest to you. And I forgot to mention, on the training and career support, we've also got events. So this is another thing. So we've got our webinars listed on there for today, but ex-forces are running a self-employment course. LifeWorks for the British Legion, they're doing all sorts of bits and pieces for families. So, you know, even if you don't necessarily see something on here that takes your fancy immediately, it's definitely worth coming back here, because anything that we get from the sort of the general community, military communities, but also local communities and our employers are all going to be listed on there. So it's definitely worth popping on to see what is available and open to you as spouses and adult dependents of our military community. So I'm going to go back onto my slideshow and down onto the training opportunities slide. So I did mention training opportunities as I went through the site. That, like I say, there's lots on there, and they offer lots and lots of information that can be of use to you. All of our providers, they offer something special to members of the Armed Forces community. We don't necessarily ask them to be covenant signatories, but they do have to offer something specifically to our community in order to be able to advertise with us. Some of that, it might be that they're offering a reduction on the cost of their courses. They might be offering extended mentoring, or they might be offering to put the courses online so that you can take them with you if you're posted, you can take them abroad, that kind of thing. So it's definitely worth, if you see anything on that takes your interest, have a look, get in touch with the training providers, and let them know that you've come to them through FFJ, and they'll be able to let you know what what benefits you would get from being one of our registered users. So this is Megan. She is a spouse in Germany. She was able to secure employment in Senelager before she actually got to her posting. So that was took a weight off her shoulders, knowing that she could post out with her husband and her family, and already have a job to get to, already when she was out there. I'm not going to play this. This is also on our YouTube channel and on the FFJ site. I'm not going to play this because I am having some right issues here with the sound and the audio. So by all means, go and have a little look at FFJ and the Forces Families Jobs YouTube channel, and you'll find some more information about Megan and her success story. So it's really great when we get feedback from those of you who are successful with FFJ, because it means that we can shout about how successful not only the platform is, but also it gives something back to our employers, because we're able to say that they've, we advertise them by saying how successful they've been and how supportive they've been to our community, which then in turn encourages more employers to sign up with us. And the more employers we have, the more jobs we have, the more choice for you guys who are using it. So if any of you do go away and use the system and find employment, please do get in touch to let us know. it's great to get some feedback about how well the system's doing. Which brings me to the end of our presentation. As you can see there is our help@forcesfamiliesjobs.co.uk email address. By all means, we're going to have a bit of a Q&A session now, assuming my bandwidth supports that. Let's hope so. But if you go away and think of have any questions later, by all means, please do drop us a line. We'll be able to answer it as soon as we possibly can. And yeah, thank you very much for your time, and I hope you found that this is useful. And yeah, go and get signed up. It'd be great to have you on board.
And as Jenna just said, just keep talking to us, really. If there's things on there that you don't think are quite working well, or you're not sure where to go, just please talk to us, because it helps us to evolve the website. So, we meet regularly as a team every other week, actually, just to see how we can keep Forces Families Jobs evolving for you. So please just keep talking to us. We love to hear feedback, good or bad, because it allows us to keep it effective.
Does anybody have any questions at all? No? Okay, that was a good thing. Was there anything in the chat?
I was just going to say about, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Hi, Hi, I'm Tara. We've been posted over to Gibraltar. Hi. Yeah,
I'm glad you think it.
Yeah, that's why I got the time wrong, because we're an hour ahead of you.
Oh no, that's fine. I thought I was going mad.
No, I did as well. No, I left quite a good job in the UK, and I've come over here, and I just can't get employment. I've sent my CV all over. I can't. There's just no jobs here. There's just no, and even just looking on your website, there's just nothing available in Gibraltar across what seems any of the sectors. We're on Four Corners, which is the military. Obviously, you probably know about the military patch here. And I've not done a proper survey, but just talking to people on Four Corners, there's very, very few spouses that are employed over here. You've got some people that have got cleaning jobs, but if you want, I think there's one lady that's managed to get a teaching role, but most of the Gibraltarians employ their own. They prefer to employ their own locals or Spanish. And even the MOD jobs. So there was a new early years leader that was recruited. The old one left, the new one came. But I that's what I do back in the UK. I didn't even know the job had been advertised. It was like, well, where is this advertised? And there's a lot of conversation about, a lot of stuff's advertised internally. So we don't ever even get sight of any opportunities available. So I've been here 8 weeks, and I know it's not long, but it's really frustrating because, and I know I'm not the only one in Gibraltar that feels like that. So I don't really know. And it was interesting watching that video, because I'm already at that stage of thinking, shall I just not bother and just literally have a break for 2 years, 3 years? But then I keep darting between, well, I don't really want to do that. I want to keep current, and I've got quite a lot to offer. So yeah, it's tricky.
It's really difficult, and I hate to say it, it's you're not alone. This is the sort of feedback we hear a lot of, and we are in the process of trying to work, particularly with the MOD and the civil service, to get more of the suitable posts onto Forces Families Jobs. We are actively working with them at the moment to try and to remedy that. But having said that, your feedback is really, really useful, because this is all evidence that we're all evidence-based organisations, and this is evidence that we can take forward to say this is a real issue, and we really, really need to be supporting these very highly qualified spouses that are finding themselves, particularly overseas, in positions where they're not able to access these job opportunities. So thanks so much for that, Tara. That's really, really useful, and obviously we'll feed that back up through to the powers that be within our reach, if that makes sense.
Thank you. I mean, there's the other thing that might be worth you knowing is that there's a few of us that have got certain skills and qualifications. We've been advised by the community support workers that are here on the base to kind of set up our own business. So one of the things that was suggested to me was, well, why don't you run some baby massage classes, or why don't you deliver some training to the nurseries? Which is fine, but to do that, I have to purchase a trading license. I have to get insurance. So there's an awful lot of upfront costs to be able to even do that. And we're in a situation where we're not employed. So how do we even get that initial, unless they're expecting our partners to pay for that? And there's no measure of even if that's even going to be successful, even if we do outlay those costs. But it just feels very feels very complicated. It's, if you want a job, you have to take your CV down to the HR department, the MOD HR department here in Gibraltar. They don't like doing anything electronically. It's quite old fashioned here. They're quite sort of a bit more behind. Everything's done through Facebook. But even when I have managed to get email addresses, or I have managed to go and deliver my CV to various places, you either get no response, or it's no, sorry, we don't need anybody. But you've got health visitors, midwives, all sorts of people on this patch, and people are just here, just out of work. It's
yeah, absolutely. That is really useful information that we'll be able to feed that back. And like I say, we are trying to engage with these organisations to try and get their posts advertised. So that, your feedback is so welcome, because like I say, we're evidence based, and without this evidence and without your feedback, we can't take it forward. That's not to say we can't make any promises that anything's going to happen. However, what I will say is, with regards to the idea of setting up businesses, when I went through the training section, I mentioned supporting the Unsung Hero. They are a fantastic organisation, and they do, I know they definitely do Cyprus-based courses about self-employment. Whether or not they do Gibraltar, I'm not entirely certain at the moment, but it's certainly an organisation it's worth making contact with if you're interested in going down that route. It won't cost you anything to get in touch with them and to ask the question if that's something that might be an option for you. Yeah,
that'd be great. Thank you. I didn't realise that was there, so that's been really useful.
Yeah, definitely have a look at that. And like I say, it's even if it's just a fact-finding exercise with them.
Yes.
Give Sarah a shout and see if she can't help, she'll know someone who can. So it's definitely worth having a little chat with her.
Well, it's just nice to have a bit of direction, like you say, because there's nobody that's been able to give us anything. It's just
absolutely. And I hope it's been a bit useful and a little bit of help for you.
Oh yes, it has. Great deal. Yeah, thank you very much.
Anytime. So,
I just wanted to. Can I just add in on that point?
Yeah.
It's it is really useful, Tara, and thanks for sharing that. If each Families Federation also will have their own e-newsletter service, so I'd highly recommend that you sign up to whichever respective service that you're in, because when we're bringing out things to do with Forces Families Jobs, or surveys asking for that similar comments like yourselves, Tara, you'll then know that the survey's live, so that you can put that information in. And like the report that Lucy referred to earlier in the presentation, it's those sorts of things that help us bring about change, hence Forces Families Jobs in this case. But by gathering all that evidence, it helps us provide that independent voice for you. So yeah, please go on to each respective Families Federation's website, sign up to their e-bulletins and or the e-newsletters. They come in normally, well, ours is once a week in the RAF Families Federation, but I know that they're regular drop-ins, and it's all sorts of information go into those that you possibly wouldn't know about otherwise. So and it's built for overseas families too.
Yeah, when we were in the UK, I was subscribed to the Families Federation, and I used to get regular emails. But so is there one local? Are you saying that there's one for each area? So there'd be a Gibraltar one, would there? Or
It'll be the same newsletter, Tara, but it goes out overseas as well. It doesn't get stopped just because you've gone off. In some ways, but you probably benefit from having it more because it's still keeping you in touch with everything that's going on. And a lot of the offers will include yourselves as well. It's not once you've gone, it's not like, you know, we lose you, and you can still use us. And if you experience issues of any kind, not just employment related, you can contact each of the 3 FAMSFEDs and they can help you wherever you are.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I know we've got some activity on the chat. Has anyone got any more questions? No? I think that's it then, isn't it? What I'm going to do is I will crop this the recording of this and send it out to anyone who was on the call, so you'll be able to have a look back and see if there's any information that you might have missed out on. It's always handy to have it there. We'll probably put it on the Forces Families Jobs YouTube channel as well, so it'll be accessible. But I suppose all that remains is for me to say thanks so much for your time. We really hope that you've been able to get something from this. And, you know, we are always, as ever, here if you need us. You can always find our contact details on the Forces Families, the FAM Federation's websites. Alternatively, send us a message at help@forcesfamiliesjobs.co.uk, and one of us, mainly Sarah, will get in touch with you. So thanks ever so much, really appreciate it, and go and tell everybody, get everyone signed up. We'll see what we can do to help. Thanks everybody.
Take care.
Thanks for coming. Lovely.
Thanks again. Thanks. Bye.
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 Bye.